name's Rich Hayden. I own Virtual Reality Racing Club. We're here at Goodwood Festival of Speed. I'm here with Purple Sector Performance, which is a race driver training, all levels, club championship, all the way up to Le Mans level. What we do is we help them out with race simulation and driver coaching, and we do that using our SimRace Pro simulators, which you see behind me. They're really high-level simulation. We use virtual reality to make sure that the immersion for the driver is as best as it could be, and giving them the accuracy to be able to follow the right lines and be as accurate with their driving style as they can be. One of the things we use with that is the HTC Vive Pro headset with a real high resolution. It's fantastic for driver training. It's the only way to drive a racing simulator. The average speed improvement or time improvement for a driver, a pro driver, going from screens to VR, is minimum is 1 second a lap, and the average is anywhere between 1.5 and 2 seconds per lap.
Hello and welcome to the final round of the Virtual Racing Reality Touring Car eSeries here, and we're at the Nurburgring, a fantastic circuit. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, your commentator throughout the evening, as we now get into the final two races of this short 4-week campaign. And qualifying is well underway. 20 minutes, then at 6:25 we have our first of two 20-minute sprint races, and then at 6:50 we'll have a reverse grid race 2. And normally that puts the cat amongst the pigeons. So we're here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit, 3.2 miles, 5.148 kilometers, as there's Jose Alde in one of the many Cupra Leons that we have here on the field. So this particular variation of the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit has been in use since 2002. It's hosted the German Grand Prix, the European Grand Prix, the World Superbike Championship, ADAC GT Masters and TCR Germany, as well as the DTM. So we're starting to get the first few times on the board. Rich Hayden in the Audi RS3 now is on provisional pole position with a 2-minute 14.7. Kobe Leekens in the Alfa Romeo Giulietta is in second, ahead of Dave Marshall, the current points leader, who's secured 5 out of the 6 race victories so far. His winning streak came to an end back last time out in I think it was Mugello, if memory serves me correctly. He ended up trying to get past the likes of Rich Hayden and a few others up in front, but it was a great battle between Tyson Zoska and Max Coates, who eventually was our second different winner of the VRRC Touring Car eSeries. There's Janne de Prins in the sister Audi RS3, and it's just behind Sarah Johnson. Sarah's currently 18th in the points on 82. And there's the Swiss driver, Stefan Tanner, who joined us last time out. He's currently P7 in qualification. And I know for a fact that Dave Christie is not with us this evening. He's otherwise engaged behind the microphone, just like me, as we've got 16 minutes to go. Rich Hayden still is the fastest driver out there, ahead of Kobe Leekens, Dave Marshall, Konstantin Kletzer, Gary Rigby, Jose Alde, Stefan Tanner, Janne de Prins, Sarah Johnson and John Cole round out the top 10. So at the moment, Calvo, Laramie, Carroll, Toth Jones and Coates yet to set a lap time. There's Andy Carroll. He's been in the wars as Andy in the Cupra Leon TCR. Cupra Leon there, so sort of a very military dark matte green there on the Cupra. Look, he's just behind John Cole. He's currently P10 in the bright green Hyundai i30N. And Dave Marshall, in the meantime, has managed to get up into provisional pole position. He's being followed by Max Coates at the moment. Marshall's put in a 2 minute 6.556. He's just 56 thousandths ahead of Zoske. There's Kletzer in one of the mini golfs that are with us. He's currently running in P13. Konstantin at the moment is currently 7th in the standings on 163 points, just one behind Andy Mellors in the Hyundai i30. So at the moment it's Marshall from Zoske, Tanner, Carroll and Rich Hayden rounding out the top 5, separated by just under 1.8 seconds, as Mikko Salminen is now the second fastest of the golfers at the minute. He's just put in a 2 minute 7.789, just over a tenth slower than Stefan Tanner. There's Paul Laramie in the Honda Civic Type R, currently running out the top 12 ahead of Jose Calvo, who's got ahead of Konstantin Kletzer. And Laramie goes off the circuit. That looks to be just off Dunlop, turn 7. And again, Marshall pushes the envelope. Now he has got a clean sweep of pole positions so far. He's got it for all 3 rounds so far. And now here at the Nurburgring, he looks to be the quickest of anybody, a 2 minute 6.042. Driver on your screens, Tyson Zoske is just over 5.5 tenths of a second adrift. Kletzer now jumps from 13th up to P3 with a 2 minute 7.225. 12 minutes and 50 left on the clock to go. So everyone apart from Alex Toth Jones so far has secured a lap time. But Alex is on an outlap in his Cupra Leon. Max Coates currently running out the top 16 positions. But Zoske's gone a bit quicker on that last tour, a 2 minute 6.252. So he's just over 2 tenths of a second ahead, behind Dave Marshall. Konstantin Kletzer, Stefan Tanner, Mikko Salminen make it 3 Volkswagen Golfs in the top 5. Then Andy Carroll having a strong performance, P6 ahead of Rich Hayden in the Audi. Alde, Rigby and De Prins. That makes it another Cupra Leon and a further 2 Audi RS3s as Mikko Salminen goes up into P3. And that is just less than 60 thousandths ahead of Konstantin Kletzer, 0.058. And there's Alex Toth Jones in the MSL Motorsport Consultancy Cupra Leon. He's been running in the Mini Challenge UK eSeries, which again will be broadcasting from midday this coming Saturday, with Richard John Neal behind the microphone. That's been very competitive so far. Max Coates, our winner for the 6th out of 8 races this season, has now gone up into P12, 2 minute 9.174. Alde now goes up into P7 on a 2 minute 8.171, just fractioning ahead of Andy Carroll. As we're fast approaching the halfway point of this session, let's see if Alex Toth Jones puts in a really good lap here in the Cupra Leon. And that he does, and goes second within a tenth and a half or so of Dave Marshall, a 2 minute 6.195 from the Brit. And he was looking a bit speedy in practice as well a bit earlier on before qualifying got underway. So with around half of the session completed, here is the running order so far. Dave Marshall on provisional pole position. That'll put 6 points in his pocket if he does get that again. He's 0.153 ahead of Alex Toth Jones, Tyson Zoske, and now Sarah Johnson has just put in an absolute flyer. The Volkswagen Golf driver has put in a 2 minute 6.917 and has got ahead of Mikko Salminen. There's Kobe Leakins. As Mikko Salminen now returns the favour and goes quicker than Sarah Johnson. Up into P4 goes the Finnish driver. And it's Konstantin Kletser, Kobe Leakins, the only Alfa Romeo driver, as Leakins goes a bit wide. He's managed a best effort of P7 in this session, and 2 minutes 7.419. Looks to be pushing the envelope in terms of adhesion and also performance of the Alfa Romeo. You've got Stefan Tanner, Andy Carroll and Jose Alde. So Carroll and Alde. There's Gary Rigby in the 12th placed Audi RS3 LMS. I'm liking that. GYG in Wales, a lovely karting circuit I've had the pleasure of commentating at before. And he's just behind one of the Hyundai i30Ns. Gary's currently running in P12, 2.859 seconds off of Dave Marshall at the minute. Let's see if he improves with around 8 minutes and 40 left on the clock to go. He does. P9. Actually make that P... Yeah, that's... Well, that was P9. So that is a 2 minute 8.095. 8.5 minutes left to go. As Toth Jones now gets pole position, provisionally speaking, away from Dave Marshall by just 83 thousandths of a second. So Toth Jones definitely winding things up. Konstantin Kletser also on the move in the Golf. And puts in a 2 minute 6.571. That puts the Golf driver up to P4 and 0.6 of a second adrift of Toth Jones. So Rigby now down into what is effectively P11 according to the times. So Jose Calvo now up into P9 in the Cupra, ahead of Andy Carroll. So at the moment, Sarah Johnson, Gary Rigby and John Cole all in the pits at the minute. John Cole's best effort so far is a 2 minute 11.4. There's Rich Hayden, P13 at the minute, being followed by Paul Laramie in the Honda Civic. Janne de Prins has just put in a personal best of a 2 minute 8.544, but has not yet improved on position. There's Jose Alde, still in P12 at the minute. 2 minutes 11.555 was Jose's last lap time around. That's Toth Jones, Marshall, Zoska, Kletser, Salminen, Johnson, Leakins, Tanner, Calvo and Carroll. They're all separated by 1.931 seconds. We're into the last 6 minutes and 45 seconds of qualification. There's Alde. Circumnavigating the circuit here at the Nurburgring. And that is through Advan that he's just gone, and then through into the NGK chicane. So a hefty braking zone into the left, using as much curb as possible, out through the right, and then heading down to Coca-Cola. So just under 6 minutes remaining. Dave Marshall has just put in a personal best and has got to within 60 thousandths of a second off of Alex Toth Jones. So the Hyundai driver definitely looking to try and regain provisional pole position as Konstantin Kletser comes into the path of Jose Alde, but has enough room to make it through, whilst Alde is on a hot lap. Kletser will still be on cold tyres, but allows Alde through. It doesn't impede him. Zoska's in the pits, Johnson's in the pits, and they're both respectively 3rd and 6th in qualifying as things stand at the moment. Top 6 separated by 0.958 of a second, and that is from Alex Toth Jones in the Cupra to Sarah Johnson in the Volkswagen Golf Mark 7. There's Dave Marshall. So let's see how the Hyundai i30N fares here at the Nürburgring. So he will now come through into the NGK chicane. He's also been competing in the Mini Challenge UK series. As he now comes through to the final corner, the right-hander at Coca-Cola, as Rich Hayden is now up into P14. Max Coates, in the meantime, has gone 7th. 2 minutes 7.233. Let's see if Marshall has the run on Toth Jones. I don't think he has at the minute. No, that was his best effort so far. A 2 minutes 6.013. Alex Toth Jones is about to complete another lap here, and he goes even quicker. Pushes the gap up to 0.153 of a second. A 2 minute 5.860 from the MSL Motorsport Consultancy, Cupra Leon. As Dave Marshall now decides to reset and goes into the pits. Nice work by Alex Toth Jones in the Cupra Leon. Is now going to make his way through the right at turn 4 before heading down towards Valvoline. That's corner for number 5 before the right at 6. Bobby Leakins puts in a personal best, a 2 minutes 7.338. So this time around, Alex Toth Jones looks to be very, very well composed behind the wheel of the Cupra Leon. As we get into the last 3 or so minutes of qualifying, Alex Toth Jones will go up through the Schumacher S's. And then up onto turn 10, be a left-hander, and then up into the right at turn 11. There's Yanni de Prins still sitting down in what is P15 behind Rich Hayden. So the 2 VRRC liveried Audi RS3s. As Max Coates goes ahead of Sarah Johnson with just 2.5 minutes to go. And he's within a second or so of Alex Toth Jones. So good work by Max Coates, 2 minutes 6.908. Yanni de Prins crosses the line. So that looks to be a little bit of an outlap from Yanni there in the 51. As Andy Carroll gets back up into the top 10 in the Cupra Leon with a 2 minutes 7.533s, 1.673 seconds off of Alex Toth Jones. 2 minutes to go in quali. So Andy Carroll has pitted. Konstantin Kletzer has also pitted. Zoska's stayed in the pits. I think looks to leave it until the racing action gets underway. As there's Salminen through the Schumacher S's towards Kumo corner. It's turn 10, the left-hander. Very committed there is Mikko. As he's now going to go through into the right-hander at Advan. And then into the NGK chicane. So Salminen will have enough time to cross the line and start another flying lap. So Salminen still has got about a second to find on Toth Jones. The Cupra seems to be really good. Salminen using as much runoff as daringly possible on both the entrance and the exit. Here's Sarah Johnson using the same sort of tactic here. Salminen and Johnson will have another attempt. Marshall doesn't seem to have an answer for Toth Jones as we go into the last 35 seconds of qualification. So Johnson now going through into the Haughaken, the Haughook as it's called, through into the Mercedes Arena. There's Alde through the Schumacher S's, 15 seconds to go on the clock. So Max Coates will settle for the outside of row number 3. Jose Calvo will start on the inside of row number 6. Rich Hayden sets a personal best of a 2 minute 8.129, and that is it. Time is now at 0. Checkered flag is out for qualification for the final time in the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries being held here at the Nurburgring Grand Prix circuit. So Toth Jones, I think, pretty much knows that he's got the 6 points in the bag. Let's see if Alday actually improves from P13 as he comes around through the Coca-Cola curve. Puts the throttle to the floor and then goes across the start-finish line. Goes P11 on his final flying lap. 2 minutes 7.553. 200ths behind Andy Carroll. So in many respects, Alex Toth Jones has secured the final pole position of the season ahead of Dave Marshall, with Tyson Zosker and Konstantin Kletzer on row 2, Mikko Salminen and Max Coates row 3, Sarah Johnson and Gary Rigby row 4, with Kobi Leekens and Andy Carroll rounding out the top 10. Jose Alday and Jose Calvo, that's row 6. Stefan Tanner and Rich Hayden, that's row 7. With Janne de Prins, Paul Laramie and John Cole rounding out the 17 strong for the final round here at the Nurburgring. We're about to get things underway for the penultimate race of the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries here in the Nurburgring. And we're off and away, heading down into the Haughack for the very first time, as Toth Jones looking to get the run on Marshall. Marshall didn't get a pole position this time around, but he's got the inside run on Toth Jones heading into the Haughacken for the first time. And Zoska looks to be there, Kletzer, Salminen, everyone's just getting pretty close to each other as Toth Jones gets the run on Marshall and retakes the lead back. Coming through what is effectively through the Mercedes arena, into the left at 3, into the right at 4, before they make the run down to Valvoline at turn 5. Salminen has a bit of a moment there. It looks like a little bit of a coming together between himself and Konstantin Kletzer. And that's allowed Max Coates to go alongside the Golf, and has actually got past. And just behind Salminen is Gary Rigby in the GYG Glanny Gores liveried Audi RS3, and the banging door panels there are the pair. So Volkswagen against Audi, and with that, Andy Carroll makes it the third respective Volkswagen Group car represented as, oh, he loses the back end. That allows Gary Rigby to go through. Kobi Leekens goes past, as does Sarah Johnson, Jose Calvo and Stefan Tanner. And Andy Carroll has dropped like an absolute stone to the back of the order after that. So at the moment, Alex Toth Jones looking to get his first win in the VRRC Touring Car eSeries. As Rigby looking to get a bit more menacing on the inside of Salminen. Salminen not letting him go through as they enter into... I think that is Dunlop there, as they'll now make the steady climb up towards the Schumacher S's, or that might be that Just trying to get my bearings on the track at the moment, but some of the drivers now making their way up towards the NGK chicane. And there is Kletzer, who's actually run wide a bit further adrift, and that's allowed Kletzer to get, that's allowed Leekens and Tanner to get through. As there's one of the Cupras off, so is it either Alday or Calvo? That's Calvo dropping down the order. But there's a gap between Alex Toth Jones, who puts in the fastest lap of the race, so 2 minute 13.4. He's 1.2 seconds, well, was about 1.2 seconds ahead of Dave Marshall. Marshall is about 0.8 of a second adrift in the number 66. And was about 0.7 of a second slower than the Cupra that time around. Zoska in P3. And the guy that he was battling with, tooth and nail for the win, last time out for race 6 of the season, Max Coates. So it's Cupra Leon leading the way, a Hyundai in second, and 2 Hondas line astern just behind. Gary Rigby makes it 2 Audis, well, it makes it a first Audi in this, and he's definitely being hounded by Mikko Salminen in the bright white Volkswagen Golf. And Salminen getting up close and personal with Gary Rigby at this particular moment. I think that Salminen might have the move going into Dunlop. He does have the inside run coming through the corner, through the apex. Rigby still keeping it planted on the outside, and this will give him the run going through into the Schumacher S's. But Rigby has to decide to think discretion is the better part of valor. Nearly runs wide coming through the exit of turn 9. As they head up to Kumo. There's Max Coates, P4 at the minute. Not that far adrift off of Tyson Zoska. Remember, these two were battling for the race 6 victory last time out. There's the Sol Alfa Romeo in the field. Bobby Leekens. And he's now closing on the battle up front, so it could be Volkswagen, Audi and Alfa battling over P5. And then you add Konstantin Kletzer and Stefan Tanner in that mix. There's Paul Laramie just behind John Cole in the bright Kermit Green, I'm going to call it, Hyundai i30N. They're battling away over what is going to effectively be P12. Rich Hayden's dropped a bit down the order as well. He's gone right down to 17th position. Laramie, that was a bit cheeky from him. He's ended up hitting the back left corner of the green Hyundai i30N. But Dave Marshall has put in the fastest lap of the race, so 2 minute 5.950, 16 thousandths quicker than, 12 thousandths quicker than Alex Toth Jones, as Paul Laramie gets past Jose Calvo. And the gap between the two leaders is about 0.8 of a second. And there's a bit of a gap between second and third at the moment. But with the way that Dave Marshall is pushing that Hyundai i30N forward, he's looking at the bullseye on the back of Alex Toth Jones's. Oh, there's a moment for Sarah Johnson. That's a real shame. Down into P17 goes the Volkswagen Golf, and she's trying to rejoin the circuit. But Toth Jones definitely not letting go this victory without a fight, as there's an absolute swarm here, and in the middle of it is Paul Laramie. Just at the back of it is Andy Carroll, just behind Jose Alday. They're about 0.2 of a second adrift. Oh, and we've just had a confirmed DNF there for Sarah Johnson, so Sarah will rejoin us in the last reverse grid race of this campaign. And just looking at the lap times, 5 1,000ths between Toth Jones, who was slightly quicker than Dave Marshall on that last lap alone. 2 minutes 6.194 for the leader, and a 2 minutes 6.199 for Dave Marshall in second place. Yanni de Prins coming under quick salvo from Paul Laramie. And also think I'm just seeing what's going on here because there's been a lot of changes. Jose Alde is ahead of Janne de Prins, or side by side. We'll have the inside run coming into the Hauk. As Paul Laramie getting, as there's Rich Hayden pulling into the pits. As we've got 12 3/4 minutes left to go, Laramie goes very, very wide indeed, and that allows Carroll to get up the inside of the DHL liveried Honda Civic. Andy Carroll, in the meantime, has got past Janne de Prins, it looks like, for position, which is the case. So up to P13 goes the Cupra Leon. Personal best for Max Coates and Mikko Salminen and Stefan Tanner as we go on board with Janne de Prins. So fourth gear, changing at about 6,600 RPM as they make their way down from Ford Curve down to Dunlop. And Janne de Prins has got Paul Laramie in his rear view mirror as de Prins goes a bit wide there coming out of the corner, and that allows Laramie to goes up the inside into the Schumacher S's, the entrance of it. 11 minutes and 45 seconds still to go in this race as Janne de Prins now bolts himself onto the back bumper of Paul Laramie. Through into Kumo and then into the right at 11. And then they'll have the run down to the right-hand kink at Advan. So that'll probably be taken around 4th or 5th gear, depending on how many gears they pull in the behind the steering wheel. There's Zoska, still running in P3, but he isn't that far adrift of Dave Marshall, who's just up the road and is less than, well, he's about 1.1 seconds behind Alex Toth Jones in the battle for this lead. And this is a great scrap for 10th place. There's John Cole, and he's got Jose Calvo and Jose Alde just behind. And that's Alde going up the inside of Calvo, going into the first corner into the Hauk. But didn't have the opportunity there. Andy Carroll's right on the back bumper of this 4-car scrap for P10. So just under 10.5 minutes remaining. Oh, that was very, very brave from Jose Calvo there, going through turn 4, trying to get the measure of John Cole, but couldn't get past. So it's one Hyundai, and the two cars of Calvo and Alde side by side, and that's allowed Carroll to get up the inside of Alde up into position number 12. But then Alde has said otherwise and said, well, I'm going to have P12 back, thank you very much. Max Coates, in the meantime, just looking at his pace in comparison with Tyson Zoska. Last lap around a 2 minute 7.1 for Max Coates, and it was a 2 minute 6.13 for Zoska, who's nearly a second a lap quicker. As Calvo now closing up on the back bumper of Cole. As they go into the left at 10. Oh, big lock up from Cole, and that allows Calvo to go up the inside, and nearly allowed Alde to go through too. Running order at the moment. Alex Toth Jones leads ahead of Dave Marshall by just over a second, and Marshall has actually gone quicker by nearly 0.3 of a second on Alex Toth Jones. Gap now down to about 0.6 approximately. There's Gary Rigby still battling away with Mikko Salminen in the Golf. Bit of a lock up there. I think that probably was from Rigby as they go through the Hauk into the left at 2, into the Mercedes Arena, and then it's another left at 3 before going right at 4, and then the blast down to Valvoline, which is turn 5. Rigby looking very well composed in this race so far, and is keeping it nice and clean between himself and Salminen, and gets a better run coming out of the corner, out of turn 4 on the run down to Valvoline. But it is still Salmonen's racing line at the minute. A bit more curb taken by Rigby to take a tighter apex and get a good run out of the corner. And it's a good run from the Audi. And whilst they're battling away, Kobe Leekens in the Alfa Romeo is definitely in the shadows, waiting See how close this ringside seat will get as Rigby goes up the inside of Salmonen. That's a great move if he gets it for P5. A pair of side-by-side heading into the Schumacher S's. Salmonen will have the racing line, but Rigby has just powered ahead of the Golf up into P5. Nice work there by the number 91. Great job by Gary Rigby. And as I say that, Kobe Leekens is now really closing on the back bumper of Salmonen. So at the moment, we've got a Cupra leading ahead of a Hyundai, 2 Hondas, an Audi. We could have an Alfa Romeo ahead of a Volkswagen in this particular instance. Just under 7.5 minutes of this race remaining, as Andy Carroll is battling away still with Jose Alde for P12 and has got past. Just trying to keep an eye on the lap times at the moment. A 2 minute 6.0 from Alex Toth Jones. That was a 2 minute 6.1 from Dave Marshall. Max Coates just puts in a 2 minute 6.877. So he's the slowest out of the top 4 at the minute. Stefan Tanner down in P9 has set his personal best of a 2 minute 7.943. Paul Laramie also has done a personal best, and that's a 2 minute 9.924. Rigby's got some daylight between himself and Mikko Salmonen as this battle that is going on for what is P10. I think Andy Carroll's now got ahead of Calvo at the minute. No, that I stand corrected. My apologies there. That's P11. So he's ahead of John Cole in the Hyundai. Well, he was until Cole did a late break and went up the inside. He's run a bit wide. That's allowed Alde to go up the inside of Carroll through the Haughack into the Mercedes arena. Gone through turns 3 and 4. There's another lock up there from John Cole. He's really pushing it with the Hyundai. Going to the right at 4. And a good run coming out of the corner from Andy Carroll as they make their way down to Valvoline, turn 5. And Carroll's got ahead of Jose Alde there. Alde down into P13. And Carroll runs wide. That allows Alde to go back up into there. Oh, that was nearly a bad rejoin from Andy Carroll. He just locked up under braking through into Valvoline and nearly clattered into the side of Jose Alde through Ford, but luckily enough he managed to get it stopped for it not to happen. Alde still battling away with John Cole. This is for P11. Personal best being set. Rich Hayden's put in a personal best at 2 minutes 8.070. Stefan Tanner a 2 minutes 7.943. Alde definitely getting very much feisty alongside John Cole as they go into Kumo at turn 10 at the left-hander. And Alde didn't really have the right approach as we've had another fastest lap of this race. 2 minute 5.726 for Alex Toth Jones, the current leader. As we go into the last quarter of this race, Alde really trying to muscle in on John Cole's territory, and Andy Carroll thinks that he can have a little bite of the pie too. So Alde slots in behind John Cole through the NGK chicane. And there is Andy Carroll on the ringside seat. Janne de Prins is not too far adrift either. Then there's the battle for P7 between Kobe Leekens and Konstantin Kletzer. So Kletzer not having a great run in this particular race. He started from P4 as Alde up the inside of Cole heading into the Haughack. Does the Cupra get in front of the Hyundai? Yes, he does for the moment. Then runs a bit wide. Oh, Cole has a bit of a moment there and nearly takes out Carroll. Just like the front end was trying to grab some traction, might have wheel spun a bit there, and then all of a sudden the rear decided to kick out too. Another lock up from John Cole there. Heading through into turn 2. Turn 3 there is Andy Carroll up the inside of John Cole. This is the run down to Valvoline now. Cole's still got ahead at the minute. There's Dave Marshall. He's trying to close in on Alex Toth Jones. On the last lap, Alex set the fastest lap of the race, 2 minute 5.726. Dave Marshall is trying to get closer and closer, and he did a 2 minute 5.954. 4 1,000ths off of his best effort in this race so far as the two leaders make their way through the NGK chicane. As as we head towards the last. So this will be the penultimate lap with the way things are going. So we'll have about 3 minutes or so on the clock as Alex Toth Jones will cross the line. And he now starts lap number 10. It's over 32 miles of racing so far. We'll have nearly 40 miles completed by the end of this race once our leader crosses the finish line. You can just see the battle on the left-hand side of your screen. That's Mikko Salminen, Kobi Leekens, and also Gary Rigby up in front. And who's just had a massive lock-up there? Now, was that Salminen or was that Leekens? Couldn't really quite tell. As John Cole still scrabbling for traction ahead of Andy Carroll, with Janne de Prins now joining the party. As Carroll goes up the inside of Cole, heading down the start-finish straight. And he's pulling alongside. I think he's just got ahead at the moment as they've crossed the start-finish line. He's going to get the run going into the Haug Hack. Now, it depends on whether Janne de Prins decides to send it up the inside of the Hyundai 2 to get the position. And he does so up into P13. And now he's going to try and go after Andy Carroll. They go through the Mercedes Arena. Through turn 3. Now, did Cole run a little bit wide there, I think? He has lost a little bit of time. As Mikko Salminen still battling away. And he's trying to close up on Gary Rigby. So Rigby's done a great job in the Audi RS3 LMS. Hold on to P5 at the minute as they come through the Schumacher S's at the minute. So Kobi Leekens now having to watch his rear view mirrors as Konstantin Kletzer is not too far behind in the Volkswagen Golf. Leekens managed to get away from the Volkswagen at the minute, and just in the further distance is Stefan Tanner as Salminen right on the back bumper through Advan on Gary Rigby as they head towards the NGK chicane, and both of them keeping it nice and tight and tidy as they head towards the Coca-Cola curve to put them onto the main start-finish straight. We are now on effectively the final lap here, with Alex Toth Jones still having a fair gap between himself and Dave Marshall. So Marshall has won 5 races this campaign. Max Coates has won 1, and Alex Toth Jones, with around 30 seconds on the clock remaining, has a chance of becoming the 3rd different winner so far with only 1 race to go. All big lock-up from Gary Rigby, just ahead of Mikko Salminen. 0.3 of a second apart. And you look a little bit further back, then Kobi Leekens and Konstantin Kletzer still battling over what is 7th position at the minute, but Salminen has got the advantage thus far. Stefan Tanner and Jose Calvo ran out the top 10, ahead of Jose Alde, Andy Carroll, Janne de Prins, John Cole, Paul Laramie and Rich Hayden. Time has now expired. That is it. The first of 2 20-minute sprint races are up here at the Nurburgring. Gary Rigby doing a great job in P5 to keep Mikko Salminen at bay. Stefan Tanner is still trying to do what he can. As there are the 2 leaders. Oh, Marshall's closed the gap. He's about 0.3 of a second adrift as they go through the Schumacher S's. But Dave Marshall trying to get a really good run on the Cupra Leon as they go into the left at 10 for the final time. Nice and neat and tidy from Alex Toth Jones, not making any mistakes. He's taken the lead from the beginning of the race earlier on as they go through into the right-hand kink at Advan for the final time before they head into the NGK chicane. Now that's allowing a little bit of room for Dave Marshall, but Toth Jones will hopefully have the inside run into the NGK chicane, which he does, and he manages to close the door off to Dave Marshall as they now come towards the final corner of the Coca-Cola curve. And this time around, what a great drive, leading from lights out to checkered flag, and it's going to be Alex Toth Jones taking a win here in the Cupra Leon from MSL Motorsport Consultancy here at the Nürburgring, ahead of Dave Marshall. So Tyson Zoska will take P3, Max Coates in P4, as Gary Rigby on the last lap has lost out to Mikko Salminen. So that is another Golf in the top 5. Sorry, my apologies. That's a leading Golf in the top 5. But Gary Rigby held on until the last lap when Salminen must have sold him a dummy. So that is very much the case of... Now, there's been, in many respects, So you got Salmonen, Rigby, Kletzer, Leekens, Tanner. Here's Jose Calvo coming across the line in 10th place in the Cupra Leon. Jose Alde will finish in P11 ahead of Andy Carroll. Yanni de Prins, John Cole, Paul Laramie, and Rich Hayden rounding out the order. So Alex Toth Jones takes some maximum score here at the Nurburgring. It's time for the season finale here at the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries at the Nurburgring. We're under starters orders for the final time. Race 8, 3 different winners. Dave Marshall, Max Coates and Alex Toth Jones, who secured the victory just a moment ago. Let's see what happens as the reverse grid race always puts a spanner in the works as we wait for the red lights to ignite on the starting gantry. The revs rise. The lights are about to go out for one final time here in the Eifel region. We are off and away, and great start from Richard Hayden in the Audi with Paul Laramie in second position as the field makes its way down to the Haughack for the very first time. Great start by Rich Hayden. He's definitely putting a defensive number on both Paul Laramie and John Cole, with Cole going up the inside of the Honda. As it is 3-4 abreast, they're all clattering into each other a little bit here, heading through the Haughack. Janne de Prins looks to be involved, as well as the Cupras of both Alde and Calvo. And that is Laramie running wide. Oh, and he's been cut across by Andy Carroll, who's been spat out. And that is not good for both drivers. Carroll again tumbles down to the bottom part of the order through an incident. And that's going to allow a few drivers to make their way up through the order. I have seen that Sarah Johnson, unfortunately, is not competing in this final race of the Touring Car eSeries here at the Nurburgring. A real shame. She looked very impressive in the first race, running in the top 10. There's Max Coates on the left of your screen, being hounded by Alex Toth Jones in the Cupra, who goes up the inside of the Honda. Does a little bit of a Matthias Ekstrom there. There's Janne de Prins battling with Konstantin Kletzer. And Kletzer gets passed up into P4, going through into the Schumacher S's, and just behind is the other Audi of Gary Rigby. So Janne de Prins already coming under the kibosh. And we're only 90 seconds into the race so far. So Coates going side by side with Toth Jones into turn 10. That's the left at Kumo. And into the right at 11 before they make their way out of the corner. Down the dip and into Advan. Very committed corner here. You're literally pulling about 200 kph in around about 5th gear as Rigby is coming under pressure from Jose Alde and the Cupra into the NGK chicane. And Rigby goes very, very wide. He late brakes and he outbrakes himself. So that allows the likes of Zoska, Salmon and Coates, Toth Jones, Marshall, a few others to get through. Well, it looks like Rigby's actually saved it there. He hung on to that by the skin of his teeth, whereas Max Coates is being pressurised by Dave Marshall, who's gone up the inside of the Honda for the minute. That is not the case, because Marshall has Toth Jones to his left immediately as they head down towards the Haughack, as there's more lockups. And that is Gary Rigby up the inside for Janne de Prins, and I think that might have been Tanner on Kletzer, maybe heading into the Haughack. There's Coates just behind Mikko Salminen, who finished P5 in the earlier race. 17 minutes and 10 seconds of the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries to go here in the Eifel regions at the Nürburgring Grand Prix circuit. So Coates now trying to boss his way past, I think that is going to be Salminen, and he's got Zoska just up ahead. And Salminen goes up the inside of Zoska, and that is through Dunlop. He clatters into the side of the Honda. Coates to the outside, that's brazen, as is Marshall. And here comes Toth Jones, making it 3 abreast. My goodness me. And that is absolutely brilliant work by both Max Coates. And that was through Valvoline and Ford Curve. There's Stefan Tanner in P3. He's being hounded by Konstantin Kletzer. And they've got John Cole up ahead as Kletzer trying to look up the inside of Tanner, who goes up the inside of Cole there. And neatly makes the move through turn 10. So Stefan Tanner now has to try and close on Rich Hayden in the RS3 LMS, who's got a 3-second gap at the minute. Here's the battle a little bit further behind as Alex Toth Jones now up into P10 ahead of Mikko Salminen and also Tyson Zoska in the second of the Honda Civics on the field. Max Coates having to defend against Dave Marshall as Toth Jones up the inside of Salmon, and here comes Zoska. Oh, absolutely goes flying off the circuit. think the rear end just snapped out as Zoska decided to brake into the NGK chicane. So the Honda goes all the way back to the end of the field. P16 for Zoska. And already within the first 4 or 5 minutes, we've had a lot of action and a few mistakes here as well, because everyone's trying to do their best. There's a lockup from Stefan Tanner from Switzerland. He's currently running in P2. So it's an Audi leading from 2 Volkswagens. So you've got Stefan Tanner and Konstantin Kletzer. John Cole, Gary Rigby. And Rigby has got the fastest lap of the race in 2 minutes 7.397. Then it's Janne de Prins, Max Coates, Dave Marshall, Jose Alde, and also Alex Toth Jones, our race 7 winner. Race 1 of this evening thereof, in 10th place. As John Cole has just been passed for P4 by Gary Rigby. There's Gobby Leakins, not having a great run in the Alpha, just ahead of Paul Laramie, who was starting on the front row alongside Rich Hayden. Here's Alex Toth Jones back again in the fray on your screens for those watching at home. He's just behind Jose Alde in the Cupra Leon. And a good run there. Toth Jones having a good opportunity there, as there has been a bit of a change as Gary Rigby has got away from Janne de Prins, who's got John Cole behind him. There's Max Coates and also Dave Marshall. So Marshall has really made some headway. Alde needs to be very, very serendipitous about what happens between himself and Alex Toth Jones, and Toth Jones decides otherwise and goes up into P9. 13 minutes and 55 seconds on the clock still to go. As Cole now gets passed by Coates, or does he? That was close. Through Advan, up into the NGK chicane. It depends on who's going to brake last, and that is going to be Cole, so he's going to get the inside run. Coates keeps it nice and clean and does not impede himself, but he gets impeded by Cole, and that allows Marshall to get past. Here's Toth Jones trying to go up the inside too, through the Coca-Cola curve. Fastest lap of the race, Konstantin Kletzer, P3, 2 minutes 7.151, with 13 minutes and 18 seconds on the clock still to go. So Marshall side by side with Coates. Coates has got the nose ahead for the minute as they head into the Halkak. As Coates goes towards the outside, and he had nowhere to go. Cole just trying to outbrake himself. That's allowed Alex Toth Jones to get through too. Marshall trying to get past Cole. It's all getting a bit ugly up here in what is effectively the battle for P6. Actually make that P5, as you've got many people. Oh, now Coates has hit the back of Marshall, who's then gone into the back bumper. This is all kicking off here as they're trying to make their way down towards Dunlop, as Cole gets spat out into Coates and then collects all day in the process and then hits the barriers. Marshall off track too. An absolute domino rally there on that particular incident, where nearly everyone ended off the track at one particular point, and someone who's capitalised quite significantly, who could be up into P9 past Dave Marshall, is going to be Andy Carroll. So John Cole now down into P13, as Carroll trying to look up the inside of, I think that is Salminen in the Golf, which is the case as they come through Dunlop. Salminen runs a little bit wide, but gets the run on Carroll going up into the Schumacher S's, as they both use as much curb as they are allowed to. So there's the battle for second position. Stefan Tanner against Konstantin Kletzer. The two Volkswagens at each other's throats for what is P2. Rich Hayden definitely has got away a bit in the Audi. He's about 3.7 seconds up the road. And closing on the two Volkswagens is the Audi RS3 of Gary Rigby. Alex Toth Jones all the way up into P5 now, and is getting quicker and quicker. He's just been in a 2 minute 8.685. Sorry, 2 minute 8.136. That was Gary Rigby's last lap time I've just quoted. My apologies there. 2 minute 8.136. So he was well ahead of Gary Rigby in terms of pure lap time, as Gary Rigby puts in the fastest lap of anybody, 2 minute 6.657 from the Audi. Brilliant job there by Gary Rigby, and that means that Alex Toth Jones has got a lot to do. All lock up from both Kletzer and Tanner going into turn one, and that has allowed Gary Rigby up into P3. The melee that's happening at around about P11 forward, which is going to be the likes of Toth Jones, De Prins, Coates, Alday and Marshall, is still waging on like it is not being extinguished by a relevant fire brigade in the local vicinity. Stefan Tanner has got past, has kept ahead of Konstantin Kletzer, but now he's got another person that has declared himself as a new challenger, and that is Gary Rigby. Finished P6 in the last race just a few moments ago as we head towards half-time here in the 8th and final race over the past 4 weeks of the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries. So Janne de Prins now in P11. There's Andy Carroll, who's actually got away from the Audi in P10, and he's just behind the likes of Salmonen and Dave Marshall. Marshall has had a considerable points lead throughout this championship, and so provisionally speaking, he keeps things where they are now, or gets another position or two. He will secure the title quite easily. But the gap between Rich Hayden and Stefan Tanner is coming down. Max Coates in P6, Jose Alde, Dave Marshall, Mikko Salmonen. There's Andy Carroll. Just behind is Janne de Prins. And Kobe Leekens has been making some good headway in the Alfa Romeo. There's Rigby closing on the back bumper of Stefan Tanner. So the Audi looks a bit more composed than the Volkswagen here at the Nurburgring at the minute. And through the NGK chicane they go. 9 minutes and 20 still to go. And it is through the Coca-Cola curve onto the start-finish straight. Rigby is about 0.2 of a second behind Stefan Tanner. So Tanner now will be in the crosshairs of the Audi as they go down the start-finish straight under the sheer driving pleasure BMW sign here on the start-finish straight. Alex Toth Jones sets the fastest lap of the races, and Gary Rigby towards the inside of Stefan Tanner into the hog hack. He gets a bit of a lock up, and Tanner keeps it planted towards the outside, but Rigby up the inside through the hog hack into the left through the Mercedes Arena into turn 2 goes Gary Rigby, and he takes second from Stefan Tanner there. Paul Laramie sets his best lap of the race at 2 minute 10.566 in the Honda Civic. Rigby doing a great job getting past Stefan Tanner, having a lock up in the process, as there is Rich Hayden. And he still has a bit of a headway between himself and the other Audi of Rigby, about 2 seconds. There's Dave Marshall, who is now ahead of Mikko Salmonen, and he's closing on Jose Alde, so the Hyundai driver looking to get up into P7. And that is very much the case as Alde runs a bit wide, but into the next corner Alde has the inside line, but Marshall keeps it planted round the outside of the Hyundai. Gets the inside run for the following corner, and now the run towards Dunlop begins. There's a bit too much curb there taken by Stefan Tanner as Salmonen looking up the inside of Alde. So Marshall not out of the woods yet in terms of being in P7 at the minute, as he's got Jose Alde and Mikko Salmonen just behind his rear exhaust pipes. Stefan Tanner not too far behind Gary Rigby. The gap now is about... It's changing all the time. It's around 0.8 of a second approximately as we go into the last 7.5 minutes of the current campaign. There's Salmonen and still P9. Alde still keeping on the back bumper of Marshall for what is P7. Alex Toth Jones in the meantime has made some headway and is trying to close on P4, which is Konstantin Kletzer. Salmonen trying to keep in proximity with Jose Alde for P8, taking a bit too much curbing coming out of the NGK chicane. Still keeps the Golf tracking true. Round through the Coca-Cola curve they come, and across the start-finish line once again. There's Zoskiert trying to make a recovery, and goes 2 wheels up in the air on the exit of the NGK chicane, but gets past Paul Laramie. And right at the back end of the field, just behind these two, 2.5 seconds adrift off the back bumper of Laramie, is John Cole. So personal best being set by Max Coates, Dave Marshall, Janne de Prins and Kobe Leekens, all improving on their lap times. And the gap now between Rich Hayden and Gary Rigby is fluctuating quite significantly. It was about 2 or so seconds. It's now less than 1.4, and Rigby is not done yet. He's actually nearly a second quicker. He was actually 1.001 seconds quicker than Rich Hayden on that last lap alone, and the gap now down to just under 1.1 seconds. So Rigby had to fight his way past the likes of Tanner, Kletzer, Toth Jones, Coates, Marshall and all that lot in order to get his way through to what is second place. And he is closing on the sister Audi. Max Coates puts in a 2 minute 6.444. And he's not that far behind. He's about 3.7 seconds behind Alex Toth Jones in the run towards what will be P5. But Toth Jones still has about 5.5 minutes, plus whatever addition the lap might be at the end of this race to those up in front. And he's now under 2 seconds away from Konstantin Kletzer, who is 0.3 of a second away from Stefan Tanner, who's now in P3, having been deposed by Gary Rigby. Bobby Leakin's now up into P11. He's trying to close the gap on Andy Carroll and is about 1.7 seconds adrift. There's Konstantin Kletzer back again in the Volkswagen, just behind Stefan Tanner. Konstantin based in Austria. And it looks like both Stefan and Konstantin have set their best laps of the race. Kobylikin's just being hustled a bit by Janne de Prins in the 51 Audi. They come through the Coca-Cola curve. 4 minutes and 40 still to go. Rich Hayden now being pursued and being caught by Gary Rigby. The gap now less than half a second as Jose Alde trying to go up the inside of Salmonen for P8 and makes the move, runs a bit wide. Oh, a little bit of a clash between the Golf and the Cupra there through the entrance of the Hellcat. And Alde back into P9 for the minute. Alex Toth Jones, I must be completely honest, I'm very impressed. I mean, he took a win on the last race, but he's consistently running in the 2-minute 6s, the low 2-minute 6s. So Konstantin Kletzer will have to watch the back bumper of his Golf probably in the next minute or two, because I've just seen coming through shot, there's Rich Hayden. Then we got Gary Rigby. And that is through Dunlop they're coming through right now. Just behind them will be Stefan Tanner. There's Konstantin Kletzer, and out of shot will be Alex Toth Jones. Toth Jones has been on an absolute mission of speed, eating up the kilometres like it was nothing. So here come the two Audis into turns 10 and into the right at 11. So Hayden goes 2 wheels on the grass, very lucky indeed there, but he managed to keep the inside run. There's Alex Toth Jones in the background, and not too far adrift is Max Coates, about 3.8 seconds off from the back bumper of the Cupra from MSL Motorsport Consultancy of Alex Toth Jones. Rich Hayden bumps his way through the curbs, through the NGK chicane. 3 minutes on the clock. So after we cross the line this time, it will be this plus an additional lap. And let's just see when Rich Hayden crosses the line, which should be round about now. On to lap number 10 we go. 2 minutes 47 on the clock remaining. Hayden and Tanner have their personal best laps so far. A 2 minute 7.172 by Rich Hayden. And he's got Gary Rigby. There's Konstantin Kletzer down in fourth, just behind Stefan Tanner, as they now go through into what is turn 3 for the penultimate time this race, and into the left at 4 before the run down to Valvoline at turn 5. And Rigby really got a good run coming out of the corner, heading down towards turn number 5, and he's swarming all over the back bumper, trying to possibly do the old Nigel Mansell dummy on Rich Hayden. Not this time, going through 5, into the right at 6 at Ford. Bit of a lock up there. I think there might have been Konstantin Kletzer, I believe, in P4. There's Laramie and Cole on the left-hand side of your screen, battling over P15, as here comes Gary Rigby on the run down to Dunlop. Turn 7, 1 minute and 48 on the clock still to go, and he nearly thought about it there. That was a cheeky little look from the Audi, as Rich Hayden now has gone ultra defensive. You can just tell by the characteristics of the Audi how it's trying to settle itself as they go through the Schumacher S's. Rich Hayden taking a really tight line there as they go through towards turn 10. Rigby's gone 2 wheels on the grass to get past into turn 10. Has he made it happen? Rich Hayden will have the run going into turn 11, which he does have at the minute. Here comes Stefan Tanner. Now this could be a grandstand finale that we might not have expected here, as Rigby swarming all over the back bumper of Hayden, trying to get through, and it's not quite happening yet. He's trying the switchback here. He's gone side by side with Hayden. Now this is going to be very, very tetchy indeed. Now has he got the run? He's gone round the outside into the corner, and he's made it through on the NGK chicane. Gary Rigby up into P1 with now 1 lap remaining. And it's not just him and Hayden that is embroiled in the battle. Oh, no, no, no. From Switzerland's Stefan Tanner, now in the mix in the Golf. As they come across the line with about 36 seconds to go. Lap number 11, the final lap of this race. Gary Rigby has some daylight between himself and Rich Hayden, but has a bit of a lock-up. And I've just seen that Alex Toth Jones has had a major incident. He's gone all the way down to P13, not the way that our race 7 winner of this campaign would want to finish things off. That's a real shame from that perspective. But Gary Rigby is going to make it hopefully a different winner, but that depends on what Rich Hayden and also Stefan Tanner has to say about it. Konstantin Kletzer will not factor into this. He's about 2.2 seconds behind the fellow Volkswagen driver. So Rigby doing a great job here. 0.75 of a second ahead of Rich Hayden, who has been literally leading it until the penultimate lap of this race. When Gary Rigby, I think, did the overtake of this particular meeting to go around the outside into the approach into the NGK chicane. And it looks like they're coming through Dunlop for the final time. Rich Hayden a bit closer to the Audi in the braking zone. And now into the Schumacher S's. And Rich Hayden keeping it nice and clean on the asphalt. Gary Rigby deciding, well, I'm going to use as much curb as I dare, but I don't want to have any problems here as they go into the left at 10. And into the right at 11 for the final time before the run down to Advan. And Gary Rigby has done a great job in this race to really show how good he can actually be. We saw some flashes of that back at Zandvoort a couple of weeks ago, but now he goes through into the NGK chicane for the final time with an 0.8 of a second advantage over Rich Hayden, who I hope has not straight-lined the chicane there. No, he's kept it nice and clean. But through the Coca-Cola curve for the final time, the final race here in the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries. Your winner is in the number 91 Audi. It is Gary Rigby that becomes the next winner here at the Nurburgring. Rich Hayden in second, making it an Audi 1-2. Stefan Tanner in third place ahead of Konstantin Kletzer, who was being hustled to the line by Max Coates. Dave Marshall, who provisionally speaking is our Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries champion in the I-30, will await official ratification of that, takes P6. Jose Alde, Kobe Leekens, Andy Carroll and Yannick de Prins ran out the top 10. Then there is Tyson Zoske running out the top 12. Alex Toth Jones will cross the line in P13. I'm wondering who's going to be second in the championship. Here comes Alex around the final corner. He'll cross the line after 11 laps. I think he could have been in the top 5 at the end of it all. He was ahead of Dave Marshall and had some great scraps between himself and Kobe Leekens and quite a few others. Here's Paul Laramie in P13. So he's making his way through into turns 10 and 11 for the final time here. Mikko Salminen down in P14. We'll make that P15, I think. So he's dropped down. So Laramie will be the last one to cross the line here at the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries. Don't forget, if you want to find out anything more about the VRRC, head to virtualrealityracingclub.com as we now await for our final finisher here in this race at the Nurburgring. That is Paul Laramie, who's now decided to pull it into the pits. But Gary Rigby is your final race winner of this season. 8 races done. So Spa, Zandvoort. We also had Mugello, and then also this week here at the Nurburgring. Well, I think we might need to speak to some drivers to wrap things up here very, very soon. But a big thank you to everyone tuning in here at the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries. I'm sure that I'll be speaking to someone very, very shortly. But Gary Rigby becomes the 4th different winner after Dave Marshall, Max Coates, Alex Toth Jones, with it being 2 different winners for the final round. And what a place, what a circuit to hold it in for the final round of this season, this campaign for Virtual Reality Racing Club. Myself personally, I'd like to say a big thank you to Rich Hayden from VRRC for getting me on board. Also, we have to say a big thank you to Simply Race and Mike Yao for the fantastic job that they've been doing as well. And also, firstly, let's speak to the Virtual Reality Racing Club man himself, Mr. Rich Hayden. Rich, what a way to end the campaign here in the Nurburgring, eh?
A game of two halves for me there. Last in the first race and second in the second.
Yeah, I think Gary was definitely showing some good pace, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was just having a nightmare. I will freely admit I've had no time to do any laps this week on Nurburgring, so I was massively behind the curve.
Definitely, I couldn't agree with you more there. But I think it's just that to have the 4 circuits, Spa, Zandvoort, then we had Mugello last time out, and obviously here as well at the Nurburgring. It's been a fantastic 4 weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing what schemes you might be cooking up next, my friend.
Lots in the pan. So we'll continue in the same vein. We're going to carry on with some touring car action, and we're going to jump into some GT4s as well.
Sounds good to me. Looking forward to hearing all the announcements. Rich Hayden, thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks.
And next up, we have Mikko Salminen. Mikko, very interesting battles for you over the course of the not just the campaign, but also the last couple of races. Just tell us a bit from your perspective.
Yeah, I had good starts on both races, but I got damage on first lap on both races, so my race was almost done on the first lap.
No, I think that's always the case with racing, that you have to sort of go with what happens and sort of try and fight back. But you had some really good battles, though. I think one of the people that we've got is one of those people that you have been battling with, Gary Rigby. Gary, congratulations on taking the final race win of the season.
Thank you. That was hard work.
I think Rich didn't make it easy for you, did he?
No, he certainly didn't. Started off, made a few places up from the start. I think quite a few people made mistakes, and then just got my head down and just made a few places up, and then caught Rich up, and then just. I actually thought at first I was just going to have to settle for second, but then realised I was catching Rich up, and then basically Rich didn't make it very easy for me, unfortunately, but just went for it.
Well, you did, and he definitely did a defensive number until the penultimate lap when you absolutely stormed it past him through the NGK chicane. That was a great move. I think I have to say one of the moves of the campaign that I've seen, to be honest with you. To pull it off there was not an easy feat at all. I hate to think how you did it.
No, just I tried putting pressure on Rich, trying to make him make a mistake, and he just wasn't making the mistakes that I wanted, and time was ticking down, and I just had to do something about it, and just went.
Well done, Gary. All the very best, mate, and congratulations for today.
Yeah, thank you, and a good thanks to G Carton as well for letting me use their skin on the car.
Yeah, fantastic circuit. Hopefully, when this is all over, I will definitely go back and visit at one point in the not too distant future.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. It's a good track. Thank you. Cheers.
No worries. Okay, next up, Konstantin Kletzer. Konstantin, bit of an up and down day, evening in the office, but some good battles between yourself and Stefan in the last race, when you say.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Actually, I'm in my office because I have my sim rig in my office, so that's literally true. Yeah, it was kind of mixed feelings. Good quali, and then the race pace again was not very good. I tried to always go with a lot of brake pressure on the back, but in the race that's very dangerous, and so I spun in the first race. In the NKK chicane in the first lap, and then my race was actually finished. And in the second race, it was great fighting with Stefan, who is actually my teammate with Autorama Motorsport. So that was a good battle.
Congratulations today. Really good to see that you've been competitive all the way through, and I know that it's been a bit difficult for you and a few others, but well done, Konstantin. Thank you for taking part.
Thanks.
Okay, Dave Marshall. I think we are awaiting official ratification, but I think you've done it, my friend. Even though you haven't won the last of the 3 races. It's been a bit difficult here at the Nurburgring for you with the Hyundai, hasn't it?
Yeah, I made it a bit difficult for myself, to be honest. I've gone from a setup that I've used for probably the past 3 years, and luckily Fanatec sent me a direct drive wheel about 1 o'clock today, so I've just about got it set up, and first time on the wheel and first time round Nurburgring GP. So reasonably happy with the result, to be fair. I was more or less on the pace straight away at quali. And what a race with Alex in the first race. Outstanding pace. Second race didn't go to plan, but, you know, happy to finish 6th and shame to see him in the wall.
Yeah, I did hear that he spun out and he ended up P13 at the end of it. But Dave, many congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Shame my teammate couldn't be here. Proud to be using the car that's helping his daughter through cancer at the moment. So this one's for you, Andy.
Yeah, we do have to say a big thank you for the Teenage Cancer Trust livery that you guys have been running on the Hyundais. So really good to see that you're doing it for such a great cause as well, bringing awareness to it. So thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks.
Well done, Dave. Well done, mate.
Yeah, what a championship, Rich. Thanks for this.
No worries. No worries.
Is the trophy on an IOU invoice or something, Rich, is it?
I'm buying him breakfast.
I heard there was a set of OBP pedals mentioned, I think, wasn't there?
That's the next one.
Yeah, you're getting ahead of yourself, Dave. You're getting ahead of yourself. But Dave, all the very best of luck in the Mini Challenge UK this coming Saturday. Right, well, that's it from the Virtual Reality Racing Club Touring Car eSeries. Stay tuned on their relevant social media networks for further developments on what is coming next. It's looking to be an exciting time here with the VRRC. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.